Hello, this is Brenda Bates, Medicine Woman, and I'll need an intro for just me sometimes, for Jen Toffel is not with us today. And I'm hoping everybody can hear me okay. I decided to use my phone instead of try using Skype. One way or the other, we're going to get this all right. We have reset up another computer, hopefully to have sound and have it come through clearly enough. I have also a new phone, so I'm not even sure how to use that. I've been practicing all this weekend to figure out how to, make it work. So hopefully I won't lose you. We're just going to jump right in, just like we always do as far as what are readings, what is life purpose, and we have a caller right on cue, so I'm just going to hit the right button and say, area code 207, you're on the air with Brenda Bates, Medicine Woman.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome, and how can I help you?
I'm right now on psychic recharge, so I'm kind of all over the place. I'm kind of lost, and
Okay.
so many things going on that I can't quite put a finger on. I was connecting with somebody this morning, and a friend of mine, and I finally, he made it clear exactly how he figures out about me I guess it's because there's at least one other person in my life that I'm not sure where I stand with at the moment, but I thought for a long time was the right one.
Okay.
But then it gets confusing because I was listening to somebody the other day who was talking about soulmates, life mates, and twin flames.
Okay.
And, everything for me is sort of confusing because I don't know where I stand.
Right.
Or what I feel. What I really feel. Because when I'm with this person, I feel really connected. It's kind of creepy. It's not creepy, but it's kind of spooky because he starts talking stuff about myself. And he's like, he listens, he talks, he listens, he reads what I write, he pays attention, and makes a lot of guesses, and they're usually quite right. I mean, he's the first person that I've known that could really, it's almost like, you look into my soul, I swear to God.
Okay.
And I just, I'm lost.
All right, as far as now we're talking directly about relationships and about this gentleman, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
There was somebody else too that I've always thought was the right one, but he's taking a hiatus for whatever reason.
Okay.
From everything, and I'm lost. Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Okay, so what happens is that the question at hand is he the right one? Well, what you bring into your world is exactly the person that's supposed to help you awaken and heal your soul. Okay, doesn't necessarily mean that they are the twin flame. A soulmate is anybody that also can be your best friend. They are there to help you, male or female, are there to help you to develop your soul. The first thing they say on the top layer is that you have trust issues, and you know this one could be the one. But let me ask you, do you have an ex or an ex-boyfriend or an ex-husband, any of the exes?
I have an ex-husband.
Okay.
I am divorced. I have and since the divorce, which was back in it was finalized in 1986.
Right.
I've been engaged 3 other times.
Okay. All right.
And
So.
And the last one just died a while ago. I just found out about it.
Oh my goodness. All right. So the main thing that makes you cloudy, that doesn't allow you to feel like, okay, this could be the one. How come I'm confused? What's causing you not to have a clear signal about him is that you have stuff that you have to release, because the release your ex card came up, and so you have to clear some energies about these past relationships. And the main thing is that okay, so I don't know, I think you're a kinesthetic. So do you get caught up in their dreams and help them come true? And then what happens to your dreams?
Well, I don't know, because did you say, do I help other people make their dreams come true?
Correct.
I don't think I ever helped any of my exes, I don't think I ever helped them make their dreams come true, no.
Okay. So I got to figure out what they're saying here, because
If I did, I don't
Let me ask you a question. When you got into arguments, spats, fights with these men, did you lose before it began?
With the one I divorced, I never goes to a chance.
Okay. Because what this, as far as dreaming goes, what happens when a person is a kinesthetic, and that's what I'm feeling that you are, is that you're not a visual person, you're not a hearing person, you are a kinesthetic person.
Yeah, I'm a clairvoyant and a clairaudient and a bunch of other stuff.
Now what happens with this, though, is that the reason why kinesthetics are never to really stare people in the eyes for very long is because they'll get lost into the understanding of what's going on with the other person. And when you do that, especially in a fight, you've already lost before you began, because of your nature of understanding the bigger picture and wanting to make sure that it can get settled, and usually gets settled the way they want it to be. And you're like, wait a minute, dang it, that's not what I wanted to happen. Are you with me so far?
I don't know, when you're married to a bully who is a very angry, unhappy person.
Correct, but
there's a problem.
Correct, but your soul projected that person to come into your space. But if you, as far as a kinesthetic, understanding how you feel, when you have to feel, like I've had a hard time in school, I had to feel my homework, I had to feel the answers, I had to feel how it was structured, so I could actually comprehend what was going on. Anytime I was in a relationship, I would get lost with it because I didn't understand what it meant to be a kinesthetic. And so I would look at them, and the next thing you know, I would feel what's going on with how they're seeing it, but it's totally different than the way I see it. But somehow I would lose the fight, because that's just the nature of how when you don't learn who you are completely, you don't learn to build up the muscle to master so that you can protect yourself. So what I'm trying to tell you is that in order for you to have relationships, especially with the one you started to tell me about, there is something that's interferes. It's a repetitive pattern. And the repetitive pattern is, from what I can tell, is that because you're a kinesthetic, you have to learn boundaries. And you have to know where you begin and they end, and where you end and they begin. And make sure that you dream. Now, see, they're showing me again that this is new information. They're saying that the one thing that stops you from proceeding forward into getting what you really want, which is like your dream come true, is the bashful nature that you had when you were younger. They're literally showing me this foundation that you were bashful. Now, were you bashful?
I was an introvert.
Okay, and that because that's part of your foundation, that's what causes you to, okay, so how am I going to put this? When you're bashful, shy, an introvert, and you're kinesthetic, you will feel around you so that your environment feels safe. When somebody gives you attention, and the attention is healthy, you tend to gravitate towards them and to feel like you can trust them. But now that you've gotten chronologically aged with time and experience with people, what happens is that part of that trust you kind of lost, because you're like, oh, this could happen again. I don't want that to happen again. I don't want that to happen again. So your shields and your guards are up. Do you understand?
I'm hearing you. I think for me it would be more of a subconscious thing than a conscious thing. That's why I don't totally resonate yet.
Right.
I'm hearing you.
Right. As far as the knowing of who you are, because you are a kinesthetic, you go and do things based on how you know them. You know yourself to be safe if you take baby steps, or you know how you to be safe if you stay an introvert. But do you know what it means to be?
I'm not introverted anymore, for sure.
That's correct. And consciously, who you are today is not who you were. But who you were is the foundation of what messes up who you are today. Do you understand? You can't have an attic on a house until you have the foundation. And then you have your walls. So consciously you're walking around very confident, outgoing, and can walk your talk and everything else. But what the whole point about the soul's journey is to resolve the issues and the lessons, or the lessons that you need to unlearn. This is what your soul wants you to do. Is like, okay, you know what? We may have put walls up here. We need to now tear them down. Because the first time that you became bashful or shy was 2 years old. That tells me prior to that you were very outgoing. Something happened in your space, and it don't have to be fearful. It doesn't have to be tragic. It can be as simply as somebody yelling at you. But prior to that, your program of your foundation is that you remember, life can be great. People can be great. Something happened at 2 years old. Put up a wall. And now that stops you from proceeding forward. You have now learned to consciously say, you know what? I can go to the high side. I can talk myself out of doing anything. I can talk myself to doing stuff. I can relate, communicate, and do all this. But it's your foundation that will project out and cause people to show up as maybe distant, bashful. See, we could spend a lot of time here, but what I want you to understand is when you look at his nature, this one person's nature, what type of person is he? Is he bashful in some cases?
Not the one that knows me. Seems to relate on to my phone, no.
Okay, because when you start working on this path with the soul, what you do is you can do spiritual investigation. How the person's showing up to you, good, bad, or indifferent, will actually help you find deeper into your soul what is your foundation and what it needs to have closure and to process out. Alright, I'm just going to ask them, the question that basically you're asking is, this person is a soulmate? Yes. Is he a twin flame? No. You can do a lot of journeying with this one. The quiet one, he has some stuff that he needs to process out, and there's a part of you that says, I don't really want that. I want someone that's more sturdier, more stable, more into me. So you're willing to let the other one go.
I am.
From what I can tell. Well, it's
I thought about it. I'm not sure. I thought he was, I realized that he had to go through his stuff.
correct.
Well, he's one person that, a strong enough person to handle a strong person like me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have more energy, maybe I can stick at it. It's mental energy.
Right.
I said, somebody pointed out recently who put me on 15-day recharge. I have psychic ADHD.
All right, so I'm just going to draw a card.
I have had it. I have not been able to focus. I haven't been able to send energy to people. And another psychic that I'm supposed to read for, I haven't been able to do that. But I know he'll be understanding about it.
Right.
There wasn't any hard part. It was the idea that, yeah, you can read for him. Because he told me before, because he actually called me from Australia to talk to me. And he didn't charge me, so he said sometimes he can read for me, which bothered me because he's really good.
Oh, interesting.
So if somebody flatters me like that, I'll
Because,
take it.
yeah, because it's the attention.
I'm trying to get back on my own psychic feet again because I know there's so many things I have left to do. And it just, today was the first time when the guy that I was chatting with finally tapped up to exactly how he was saying into me. But sometimes he looks at me on the webcam because he's in England. It's like you're looking into my soul.
Right.
Nobody ever did that, and nobody ever took the time to really get to know me. The other guy, I think, could, but he just suddenly disappeared right after I got a cell phone so that I could call him.
All right, so now here's a question. We're going to make your question very clear. There's a party that's stuck. You need to release some issues that you've had experiences with people in the past. But your main question needs to be answered. What is your simply main question? It's not why you're stuck.
My question is, who's right for me? Or am I, I don't know. I guess that's how
Okay.
See, somebody draws me, because at least two people draw me in, or I'm going, it gets confusing.
All right. What I'm going to tell you is you're going to draw to you the lessons that you have to learn. And if you learn to unlearn certain things and learn to process and close certain things, it'll bring you closer to the one you're supposed to be with. You understand?
Makes sense.
Because, and so if you're being presented with these men and you feel like you haven't lost yourself and you don't have to change yourself, because please don't change yourself. Just keep your originality and you can be you in front of them. Then here's the thing, slowly bring them into your world. But if you have trust issues, you heal it. Because your trust issues are going to cause them. Because if you have any trust issues from the past, it will show up in any relationship you're in the moment. And then he'll look just like the rest of them. Have you had trust issues with anybody in the past? Yes or no?
Yes.
And if it's not resolved, according to what I'm looking at your soul, is that you have a big energy cord that says, I haven't resolved this, but I have kept how these people hurt me as a way so I can keep myself safe. I would say that's good and bad because you're losing life force to it. What also is that sending the message to the universe, bring more of it because that's where I'm putting my energy. What you focus on is what you get. And it's not about consciously focus on. It is where you're...
No.
Okay, so you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So your question about the guy in particular, is he the one? Well, at this point, he is the one that you need at this moment. Is he the ultimate one? That depends on how much growth you've done with your soul. You can learn to, as long as you're not doing, when we have archetypes, we have the prostitute archetype, we have the victim archetype, the saboteur archetype, and the child. And when you stop sabotaging yourself and selling yourself short and standing in the victim stance and wanting to be taken care of, when you learn to grow from that, creating a healthy foundation and keeping who you are, knowing who you are, you will then bring that person into your space so that he doesn't have to fulfill those things that have to be taken care of or the lessons learned. You can still be loved, and you be loved at a greater rate, but if you have an issue at hand, it can cause you great turbulence. And there can always be issues, but you have to understand, are you repeating anything? So I would take from what you've had, from especially with your first husband, in any relationship after that, see if there is a common thread, and if there is, then heal it. Because you don't need to just see the pattern and saying, oh, they're all dicks. That's not going to help you. That's just going to create another wall that's going to push men farther away from your world. You're looking for love. You're looking for relationships. If there's a common thread that you lose yourself into who they are, then you need to start noticing when you start doing that and stop it. Okay? You need to do a correction process in yourself. If you know that all you are doing is becoming strong when they flatter you, you have to learn to flatter yourself so that you won't lose yourself when they flatter you. Do you understand? So go back and look for the common thread. And if there's anything that stands up in your face, heal it out. Because the moment you heal it out, the more you're going to be closer to the one you're supposed to be sharing your life with. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I would say start with that. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Okay.
Stay blessed.
Bye.
Okay, now I'm using dual screens here, so it's kind of funny to do. This person is next. Okay. Veronica. I'm hearing music from you, Veronica. Okay, I'm going to put you back on hold, Veronica, because I cannot do that. All right, so we're going to take the next caller. And I think it was area code 252. You're on the air with Brenda.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good, and how are you? Oh, good, good, good.
I really did. I was calling because I feel like a kid caught in a ball of twine. Just really talented, really smart person, help, sit, have the vision for other people, but I am just tired of not seeing it for myself. And if there's any guidance you can give me from seeing where my block is, I would,
Okay.
that would help me so much. Because I labor over that, and I know I'm not supposed to, but, it's like you did, that's my goal.
Yes, yes. What we call the waiting room. When we're proceeding on our path, and all of a sudden we are to wait. The waiting room, when you think about in the hospital, can you bring a book, or are you frustrated? Are you angry? Are you complaining? Are you watching and observing other people? Is there crappy music, or is there a TV that has no sound? We have what's called a waiting room, and that before certain things unfold and you can get to your goal, it is, what do you need to learn, or what do you need to heal? What do you need to do so that goal can come true? So while you're in the waiting room, it does feel like you're being stuck. So I'm going to ask the cards specifically, anything specific. And it drew the card Rock Bottom, number 10. It's the Enchanted Map by Colette Baron Reed that I'm reading. Well, let's see what clue they give us to help us understand more. In reverse, this card is a symbol for addiction in all forms. Subtle or obvious, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results will never provide you with what you desire. So, are you doing something over and over again? Something repetitive?
I guess, but what I do over and over again is I keep, I keep talking myself out of things I believe. I do believe that I do. I get started, I have great starts, and I can't get past the starting.
Okay, so you self-sabotage from what I can see. So let me finish reading this. At this time, or at this moment, there is nowhere else to go, and you're facing the end of the road. If you fear change, be willing to change. Surrender your wants to higher power. Ask for truth and allow humility to be your guiding force within. You will always get what you need. You are only a victim of your perception. Take heart, because you can't sink any further. The only way to go from here is up, and wondrous things await you. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to see what pattern that keeps wanting your attention, and it wants you to heal, address, or do something. And it is to unlearn something. We're going to how you were shamed. Mortification. They're showing me a lot of your energy force happened. Okay, so at 2 years old, you were shamed for being you. Okay, so apparently you were doing something as a kid, doing what you like to do, and then you were shamed. Now, I'm trying to ask them particularly what kind of shame was it. And then it's basically your general shame that you didn't have the correct manners. Do you understand what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Okay.
definitely I do.
Okay, so it is the way that you're living your life and the reaction that comes to you. So you can have a great start, but there's also a party that's like, oh, wait a minute. I know how people are going to react to me. Now, that may not be what you're... Go ahead. What?
And the criticism that comes from me being myself.
Exactly, exactly. So what happens is that you already know something bad's going to come based on the fact that it happened to you once already. So your strategy was to stop what you're doing and then restart something else, stop what you're doing, restart something else, stop what you're doing. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so what they want you to notice is that they want you to know how you know this. Literally allow yourself not to be the age you are now, but drift back to a fresh experience of when, oh, here we go, I can't do this. And it is all that criticism. It is all that RTJP, which is the right temporal junction parietal lobe, that looks out and sees that these people are going to do this to me. Oh, I'm already ready for it. I'm prepared for it. I know what they're going to do. And so you give yourself a pep talk and you go, okay, I can do it. And then all of a sudden, because of that one experience, you end up sabotaging yourself and you don't even know it. It'll feel like other people are doing it to you. And the next thing you know, well, you're back to start again. So, when you find out how you know it, that deep shame and mortification, that criticism, and you're like, oh, I can't do this. You already know the self-talk. And what I would tell you is to go and do Hope Therapy, which are healing tools, or on mwreveal.com under healing tools, and you're going to do Hope Therapy. You're going to watch the video, read the words, and your code to be able to heal this big chunk would be R3D. R represents the right wrist, 3 represents the third point on that wrist, and D represents how deep you're going to push your thumb. Okay? Now your pointer finger is going to go to the palm of your hand, and your right hand is going to go on your forehead and your hairline. Like I said, you watch the video, it'll show you all this instructions. The topic is how you know you're going to get criticized, how you're going to get hurt. You are going to also think about how you talk yourself out of it. Pay attention to that pattern. Stare it down. Give it a color and a number, because it owns a lot of your energy. Because I see a lot of great starts. I see a lot of great things that you still could be doing. But again, I do see your pattern. Like you say, it sits there. But mortification is that, feel how you know one word can just cut so deep. Okay? And just know, and that's what you're going to focus on. You're going to take your fresh experience of, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I know what they're going to do. Because you ran to the end of your timeline, there's a party that knows all about how it's going to turn out. I want you to face it down while you're in that position, the R3D position. And what will happen is the great big number that you have will eventually come down. It'll hit usually a 3 where that'll break, and then you won't be thinking about it anymore. You kind of can't focus on the feeling. You're like, oh, I think it's gone. Now sometimes yes and sometimes no. What that means is if there's any number on the scale, what happens next is your soul wants you to go out and experience, which means you could be just sitting there, a phone call can come in, or you may just denigrate and shame yourself. And they say, and as soon as you realize that the same pattern, you go back to R3D and go, oh my God, and you just think about the experience you just went through, and that'll be a high number, but it'll go down much faster. And then eventually it'll get down to 0. So anytime that pops up, you hold R3D, and what you're doing is you're retraining the brain, the frontal lobe, to stop creating that reality. Because the blood's going to come back up, swish the brain cells, because when you are in fight, flight, freeze, 80% of the blood leaves your forebrain to go into your limbs so that you can fight and run and do what you need to do to take cover. But when you're holding that position, the blood comes back up. And while your hand is there, and focusing on it, you're saying, I'm going to focus on this issue. And the blood is going to come up and say, oh, well, don't have to run, you don't have to fight, we're going to take so kind of like upgrading that fight, flight, freeze, and so that you don't have to do that every time that you're about to do the same thing over and over. So, once that is resolved, you don't have to go into that stage. Does that make sense? So then once you take that hurdle out, if there's any more hurdles, then you can give me a call, or if you can't do it yourself, then I'm a soul coach, you can call me up and we make an appointment. But other than that, give us a call back, let us know what's happening. But you're healing and telling your brain to stop making the same picture. And Hope Therapy is about the fastest way I know to help you change change from creating that same story every time. So, you got your material, you're going to hold R3D, and you're going to go and focus on all of that. Get it gone. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and stay blessed. And please heal it out so that you can have a better life, because I can see you really being happy with your successes.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so... we lost Veronica. Well, if you came back and didn't have music, I would definitely try you again. I'm going to go to area code 561, you're on the air. Oops, you may have turned on your radio. Hello. How can I help you? Oh, wonderful. What would you like? A question or a general reading or anything like that? Okay. All right. Wants to know if the relationship is coming up for her. All right. Now, do you have anybody particularly in mind? Okay. Now, I'm just going to focus on you and see if there's a relationship coming up anytime soon. Is it easy for you or hard for you to have heart-to-heart conversations with people? Okay, because that is one thing that stops you from calling in the person. And I'm just going to ask the card again. Is this person even close? Is there a person close that she can have a relationship? The main thing is that you are used to having deception happen to you, so the filter of deception pops up, and so then people are not what they seem. They are your stories from what you knew from the past. And you seem to, now let me ask you, is a common thread, do you feel like people are wearing masks in the relationship? They're false, and then you don't find out until later that they're, you know. Okay, so they're saying that it's hard to become intimate with people because you know the deception is there. So that tells me that you're sending out to the universe that this is how you know your life, this is how you know relationships are, and the universe is saying, okay, your wish is my command, and sends you the same thing. Because you are to heal that. So you can break that cord and stop drawing people in. Do you understand what I'm saying? So here's the thing. This is how you know what relationships are. This is how you define what relationships are. And because you have, you will keep getting the same kind of relationships. Okay? And they're saying that if you want to have better relationships, you have to heal how you know it. You got to create some closure to this. Or, because right now you're just submitting your order to, it's like when you go online and you want to shop from JCPenney's and you say, I want this, you click order, and then you pay for it and it comes to you. It's the same thing when you're using law of attraction. This is what I know, this is what I expect. You actually clicked order, and that's what you keep getting. And so we're saying that you can have closure. You can heal that. You can change that from the way you keep sending it out and the way that you keep receiving it. Now, the reason that this keeps happening to you is that you're in the run mode. It's a fight, flight, freeze, and for you, you're running. And I'm just trying to figure out, when did you start running? About 2.5, 3 years old, you started to run. And I'm going to ask you, did your parents, did they start work at that time? Did somebody leave the household at that time? Because I feel like you're running after them instead of anybody chasing you. Okay. Okay, so that would make sense. Okay, so that somehow is a pattern that you've learned, that you have to run from people that could hurt you, but also run away from, or run to somebody that can protect you. And so you're constantly on the run mode. So now I'm just going to ask, what do you want her to heal? Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to be, that is a long time. Okay, so haughtiness is a way that somebody uses their, to get attention. Okay? Like, for instance, when people are angry all the time or they complain all the time, they take over the situation of what's going on so that there's no way for you to speak. And this is one thing that happens to you, and you don't want that. So, for instance, if you're bringing relationships in, regardless if it is a love relationship or a friend relationship, somehow in the relationship they do all the talking or they do all the attention getting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And with that in mind, that's why you got tired. Because they put on these false masks. You're like, oh, I do not like this environment. It's so negative all the time. Why can't I just be happy? Well, you took a break, and now you're ready to go back out into the world. But they're saying, because that is still in your foundation, it's going to pop up again. So I would then definitely say that watch how, when these people do this, you kind of check out. For instance, you could be sitting with one of your friends, and they start going into that mode, and let's say you have a telephone and you just pick it up and start texting somebody. Without realizing it, you're checking out so you don't have to experience all that negativity that's in that space. You know how to put up with it, you know how to just let them talk so they can get it out. But there's a part of you that knows that you keep attracting the same people over and over, and you're like, oh my God, please stop. And you can make it stop. You can make it stop. You can change the way that you have, and it doesn't mean you have to physically go out there and say, I'm dumping you, I'm not talking to you, because all you're going to do is going to create more people to take their place. So the main thing that I would tell you to do is simply, because you know how their actions and behavior are, and how much you do not like that type of environment, that is what you focus on. That is what you need to heal. And so I would also tell you to go to MWReveal.com, look under Healing Tools, and you too need to hold R3D, because it's the way that you learn to put up with. You learn to just let them be themselves, but it actually is draining you, depleting you, and that's the only environment you know. Your mind may drift when you're a little kid, go back to being a little kid, about how that environment is and how you learn to just check out while mommy and daddy do their thing. And you're like, okay, so you've learned to put yourself on reserve while life happens around you. That's what you're going to focus on. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember, go to MWReveal.com, look under Healing Tools, look under Hope Therapy, and watch the video, look at what's written, and then your code is R3D. It's the right wrist, third position, and hold deep. And think about what we just talked about. Put it on a scale from 0 to 10, give it a color, and watch yourself focus, 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 focus on it until all of a sudden it doesn't matter. You're not focusing on it anymore, the self-talk's not there, the feeling and the pain is dissolving and disappearing, okay? And just keep doing it until it's 0. Okay? Alright, thank you, dear. Okay, so, you know, our loved ones can be right around the corner, but if you have a program that constantly is in your face, constantly pushing, constantly there, it'll make it a bit difficult for you to even allow yourself to be in the space. You just have to understand to take a break. Mm-hmm.
But my tolerance for people is very limited.
Ah.
And that's something that I've been working on, but I can't seem to get it.
Oh, well then that's a good place. We will look at it. And okay, you said the word tolerance. The tolerance. So is there a certain behavior or just a lot of people?
Since a lot of people, I'm more,
Okay.
let's fix it, let's try to fix it, and move on. So
Okay.
when people start to whine and complain and not doing anything about the situation, it just irks me.
Okay. One of the things is that, do you feel like you have to save them?
Yes, and I'm tired of that.
Okay, because you grew up and you've seen it there, you wanted to help the people you love, and now you are repeating that, and some people just don't want to be saved. What they're showing me is that you have to, I would tell you to go to MWReveal.com and look under Healing Tools and look for the Golden Lasso. The Golden Lasso is that you want to bring like-minded people to you. that means that, yeah, they'll still probably have some issues, but they're more into what you're doing, who you are, and so one of the things is that you have to be okay to lose your friends. And it doesn't mean that you have to lose them permanently. That just means to have the courage to step up, step out, and go look for your path of where you are supposed to be. Because if you're being with these people and you're doing your best to help them, well, it sounds like they don't want to help. They don't see the reason what you're talking about, because they don't see that they need the help about the way you see it. Does this make sense?
It makes sense, and it's across the board. It's not just male, it's female, it's across the board.
Exactly. And one thing is that your soul keeps projecting to keep having the same relationships with the same kind of people that they don't get it or they don't see it, because they're not meant to see it. And that's the frustration that you're having. Now I'm going to ask you, so why, a little bit further, that you keep producing this. And they say it was about 1.5 years old, someone in your family was a drama queen. And you learned to check out, but you were also going to help them because your heart hurt when you saw them sad. You with me so far?
Yeah, I'm trying to research who that is, but I don't have a clue.
Let me ask you a question. When you were younger, because what they're showing me is at about 1.5 years old, you felt the energy of one of your parents leave you. And it doesn't always mean that they have to die. That means that their attention is somewhere else. Like when my mother, when her dad died, it was devastating. And I was a little kid, but I could feel my mother's energy leave me. Her attention was no longer on me. She was lost and in pain. And all I know is that as a kid, when you want to rescue the people that you love. It's one of those natural things that happen in instinct, is that you have instant compassion, even if you don't even know what it is. You want to help. You want to be there. And my mother, it happened to my mother a couple more times, and all I wanted to do was to help her take away that pain. So I grew up as a rescuer as a kid, and now that I've healed it out, now I can actually help people. It became a really healthy foundation, but people come to me that want the help. So all I see is that the energy from your parents, I don't know which, they're saying both and then they say none. So I don't know if your mother had to be the father as well, had to carry on two characteristics, two personalities of raising the kids. I don't know. All I know is that you felt her attention that she had for you, designed for you, pull it away. And it feels like she went in pain. I don't know if it was physical pain, it could have been a car accident, it could have been something, I don't know. They're just throwing anything out there. But something was so devastating that it took your mother's focus off of you. You with me so far?
Yeah, but the other thing I need to check was that I was raised by my grandmother from the day I was born.
Okay, see, that's why they couldn't, that's why they haven't really settled on parents, because you didn't have them. You didn't have them. So, now, if I say, is it the grandma? No. So what's interesting, from the day that you were born, you did feel your mother energies leave. Okay? But the main thing is that, now let me ask you a question. Were your parents, were they alive at the time when you were about 1.5?
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, they ended up at the time, they were not married when they had me, but once my sister came into the picture, they got married. So she was raised by my parents, but I was raised by my grandmother.
Okay, and about how old do you think that they actually, you felt really abandoned by then?
Well, not so much my dad, because my dad was always in the picture. I felt abandoned by my mom.
Exactly.
So up until this day, we have a relationship, but it's not a close-knit relationship.
Okay, and that's exactly what's happening.
My dad was always there since, even though he didn't raise me, he was always in my life.
So what's happening is that as the adult, you are now doing your best to help people, save them, get them to find the attention that should be on, what do you notice with these people? That they're just not happy, or they repeat the same hells. Well, that's what you were trying to do as a kid, is that you wanted your mom, from what I can feel, it goes back, she must have carried a lot of energy with her, because I keep seeing male and female energy, and it is, if we narrow it down, you know, does it have to do with the dad? No. Does it have to do with the grandma? No. Does it have to do with the mother? Yes. You knew right away that you were unwanted. The first time that you knew you were unwanted was inside the womb by the age, about 8 months, right before you're about ready to pop out. You felt a disconnect somewhere. Okay? And so, does that affect how your relationships with people are? Not as much as when you kept wanting and for your mom to take you. I just keep seeing you reaching out, wanting her to take you. We're going back to 1.5 years old again. Now I'm just asking I'm asking Spirit to show me more pictures. Because as I'm reading your energy cord, the entanglement cord, there was so much that went around you, but there was only one main focus, and that was focusing on you, that your mother had problems. And that there was a part of you that knew she was lost or something. No, so you felt her immaturity. So she had you really when she was quite young?
20. So
20. Okay, so I'm...
Back then, I guess.
Well, I'm just now thinking, okay, if it's not chronologically aged, was it the mind? It was her heart.
Probably the mind.
Okay,
Probably the mind.
she said, from what I'm feeling, is that you could tell, doesn't matter how old she was, there was part that was just not ready for things. And that's the part, that's why you, that's the key word. So the people that you're helping, they're not ready, just like your mother was not ready. Does this make sense?
It makes sense, and I think I'm learning to distance myself, and of course I'm doing that, and they're not embracing that at all.
Okay, so now I have to help you so that you can just start. Okay, so I'm asking Spirit, do you want her to do golden lasso? Yes. Is there anything specifically that she needs to heal? They want you to heal your heart because you're so loving and kind and open, and it is the little child in you that is looking for embracement. It's not really acceptance. It's the embracement, to embrace you and go, oh my God, thank you so much for being you. You know, it's like as an adult you want to feel appreciated and loved. As a child, there's a part of you as a child that didn't know exactly what you wanted, except for you wanted to be embraced and held. That's almost translated as the adult. So I'm just asking, what do you want her to heal then specifically? Oh, so they want you to go to mwreveal.com, go under Healing Tools, under Hope Therapy, and your code is L1D. L is the left wrist, the first position in the pulse point, and you hold deep. And you're going to put your thumb there and your finger in your palm, and what we were just talking about, how you feel they're there, they haven't quite abandoned you, but you feel abandoned. You feel like they're absent-minded, or that they're depressed, or they're pulled far away, even if they're just standing in front of you. And you feel their vulnerability, and the vulnerability is painful for you to watch, and so then you open yourself up and say, hey, let's do something about this. And then they don't listen because they're stuck in that part of the pain. But then there's a part of you that says, come on, just if you see it and you understand it, you appreciate it and you'll find value of what I'm doing. Again, you keep embracing people that is really your mother. The signature is that part. You don't understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying.
So,
because I've been doing a lot of work with myself, and I know that I need to continue.
right.
But in the meantime, I know that I am ready for a tangible relationship with a life partner.
Right.
I know that. I can feel it.
Yes, and I can see that too. You are. There's several men that are standing there that want to be with you. But it'll be depend on what issues that you have healed or haven't healed that will draw you near. The main thing is that they're saying when you hold L1D, you're going to focus on how you can feel And you're going to use all these fresh experiences of people that you're with, that how vulnerable they feel, how open they are to being shot like with BB guns or pain and suffering. And you're like, stop it! Literally just think those through. Put it on the scale from 0 to 10. Think it through, and when it starts to go down, you'll start to know. So that main thing is you feel their vulnerability. And then they're saying that during that time or afterwards, you're going to feel how they have drifted themselves into becoming absent-minded. They just can't focus. They could fall into a depression at any moment. You feel them being despondent. And you're trying to wake them up. And again, use all of the fresh experience of the people you've been doing your best to help, but they just don't get it. You're still going to hold L1D. And the main thing is that you feel their wounds. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to focus on, because because this is so deep. That is the very first thing that I need you to do. Now, again, as a soul coach, and we were to do this, I would run you right through it. And I'd probably tell you to hold L1D, know when you've switched, told you to hold someplace else, and telling you what to think. Because you know how you know these things, but sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you can't hear when your brain switches and goes onto another subject that's linked to it. And that's what my job is to help you break it and catch it, okay, and then heal it out. But the main thing is if you can just allow yourself to be in the pain, put that on a scale from 0 to 10, stick with it by holding L1D, thinking it, feeling it, again, your hands on your forehead and your hairline. The blood's going to rush back up to your forebrain, which is going to allow you to think your way out of a paper bag. It's going to allow you to stop creating the same situation over and over. And the hairline represents the liver meridian, where the neuro part of it is that you're going to flush out the chemical peptides so you can stop creating your reality to be that same way. And they said that's all I can really tell you at this time, because that's a big chunk of your life. And then what's going to happen is you're going to heal anywhere from 48 hours to 72 hours, and your brain is going to show you the next issue because you're participating, or because you're going to continue healing up until at least 72 hours from what I can see. And now you have to decide when stuff starts to happen to realize that I don't have to create that way. I don't have to think this way. Literally start noticing the big difference in how you are creating, because without witnessing that, you can cause yourself to backslide or force people to become into that expectation that they're all that way. But as you heal, you're probably going to make a few people pop up that don't have those issues, and because you need to create new pathways.
Right.
And since you don't have those pathways, you may not see it the first time, but then if you're aware of that, you're supposed to be looking for it, then all of a sudden what will happen is you'll start creating people that don't have to do what you were doing, because you're like, oh. So that's where I say use the golden lasso. Start bringing those people in, and that you can start talking and having relations and growing from that spot, okay? So witness to yourself, because otherwise you're going to say, wait a minute, did that even happen? If you kept notes and wrote things down, then you can say, oh God, I remember that. But you're not going to lose yourself. You're not going to invest a lot of a life force into keeping that alive. You're just going to say, look, I've grown. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so
That makes sense. Thank you so much. I'm on your website, so all of the information that you just gave me under the healing tool.
yes, go under Healing Tools, and you're going to look under Hope Therapy.
Okay.
And remember, your code is
Thank
L1D.
you.
Okay? And thank you, dear.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. Okay, so we're doing really good, and the next is 908. And then after that, I will take someone that's in the chat room. So 908, you're at, whoops, doggone it. Area code 908, you're on the air with Brenda, Medicine Woman.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good, and how are you?
I'm fine. I was calling. I want to know the energy from my boyfriend. How are you?
And you want me to see what kind of energy he has? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because we've been
Okay, so now I've got to ask your spirit, is this is her filter of what she's seeing?